may be listening. We're on iHeartRadio, Fox Sports. Because I knew tonight was Zion and LeBron, so I thought I'm going to go through all my Netflix stuff last night. How are you, Joy Taylor?
I'm good. I have an episode and a half left of You. I like to do one show at a time.
No, so
Otherwise, I'll never finish them. So
Yeah.
I'm like, let me just finish You, and I'm glad I stuck with it. Because I remember telling you about it. I'm like, I don't know, it's going to get off the rails.
Either way.
It's crazy. So when I'm done with that, I'm going to get on Narcos.
So I finished Narcos last night, so tonight it's NBA. I want to start with this. You know, it's remarkable to me that you know, sometimes I look at the media. I don't put the fans and the media in the same category. Fans are go be crazy. They pay to go see games. Fans short for fanatic. If not for fans, these games aren't as interesting. I mean, when you watch a game and the fans are going crazy, it makes the game better. The aesthetic. You know, fans should be nuts. They should be socially lubricated. But when it comes to the media and analysts, sometimes I roll my eyes. Are you guys paying attention to this stuff? So Joe Burrow yesterday, they measured his hands, and they're like small, like a 9. And Joe Burrow's laughing about it. Why do you think they test this stuff? Why do you think they test this stuff? Now, Patrick Mahomes came out and supported him because Patrick Mahomes' hands are slightly smaller than average. And everybody's like, well, Patrick Mahomes has small hands. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes has the best arm on the planet. That overcomes lots of shortcomings. He also had a dad who was a pro athlete. So Mahomes is a significantly better athlete than Joe Burrow and has the best football throwing arm in the world and has Andy Reid as his counsel. We know that Joe Burrow is a decent athlete, not special. He now has small hands, and we know he's got an average arm, not great, and has Zach Taylor, who we don't know if can coach, as his counsel. I remember years ago when Vince Young came out, and I was never a big Vince Young fan. I hated his throwing motion. I said, he reminds me of Tebow. He wins games. That throwing motion, he'll never be a great pocket passer. He had a very low Wonderlic. And people are like, it's no big deal. And I'm like, well, it's kind of something, or they wouldn't test. I mean, it's. And then everybody said, well, Dan Marino had a low Wonderlic. And I was like, yeah, but Dan Marino had the best arm and release in the history of the league. Folks, sometimes Steph Curry's shooting overcomes the fact that he's small and tiny and doesn't play much defense, and he's not real vertical, and you can push him around. He's kind of light. If you have world-class arm talent or world-class shooting talent, it can overcome obstacles. But this hand size thing, folks, let's just be honest about it. Joe Burrow is a good prospect. He's not a great prospect. He's a great story, and the media loves stories. Okay, Westbrook was a great story when KD left him. Didn't make him a greater player. He was a great story, and he won the MVP. LeBron was the better player and the MVP of the league. But LeBron's story, we were fatigued. We'd seen him dominate the league for a decade, so LeBron doesn't win MVP. Because we're over the LeBron story, right? I'm not, but most people are. The Westbrook triple-double year, this story wasn't any better player. Just kind of cheated on some rebounds, and nobody else could shoot, and he scored. And so this Joe Burrow thing, it is remarkable to me when we dismiss stuff that matters. It all matters. Arm, maturity, Wonderlic, hand size. It's all college productivity, coachability. It's all something. It all matters. The interview process, heck, we've had people on the couch the last 2 weeks. They're like, that interview process, that's huge. You're like, really, talking for 7 minutes? They're like, oh, yeah. I mean, I never forget. Johnny Manziel came out, Jameis Winston came out, and Baker Mayfield came out. And I said, they're all really immature in college. Haven't they all been really immature at the next level? Johnny Manziel's out of the league. Baker's been talented but wildly immature with poor judgment, called out his own medical staff. And Jameis Winston's a bakery. He's a turnover machine. That's all judgment. Sam Darnold is the exact quarterback at the Jets as he was at USC. The difference is when he makes those mistakes in the NFL, it's way more punitive. They all get picked off. At USC, he made mistakes, but Utah guys or Oregon State guys didn't pick him off. Joe Burrow was a remarkable story. but he's a good prospect. He's not a special prospect. And by the way, I don't love him making fun of the hands thing. It's a little cocky for me. It's a little too much for me. I really like the way Tua is handling all of this. Tua's got a medical crisis on his hands, and every time you talk to Tua, he's just humble. He understands the concerns. This is not the end of the world for Joe Burrow, but the idea that all of this stuff doesn't matter a little. Of course it matters. By the way, I saw a stat this morning. If you don't think, by the way, Cincinnati is a cold, wet, windy area. It'd be different if he's playing in a dome, maybe, behind a great offensive line. But he's going to be playing behind a bad offensive line in a wet, cold division. Hand size doesn't matter, gripping the ball. In the last decade in the NFL, 3 players have had concerns about hand size. Chad Henne, Ryan Tannehill, and Jared Goff. Well, in the last decade, those are the small hand guys. Goff has been the best, and most of you don't like him as much as I do. And he does have a fumble issue at times. So, and the other thing about Joe Burrow, he did say this yesterday. So, here's some sound Joe Burrow at the Combine about the Bengals.
Yeah, of course I want to be the first pick. You know, that's every kid's dream. You know, I've worked really, really hard for this opportunity, and I'm blessed to be in this position. I'm not going to not play. I'm a ball player. Whoever picks me, I'm going to go show up. I'm just not going to be presumptuous about, you know, what they want to do. It's the draft. You guys have been covering it for a long time. You never know what's going to happen.
So that just guarantees, that's fine. That just guarantees, though, that he will go to the least talented roster in his division. Forget the AFC. Forget the NFL. In his division, without question, he will now go to easily the least talented roster. He is saying that this morning, and good for him. That's fine. As we said, we figured he would go to Cincinnati. It takes a lot of courage to bail on your home state. Cincinnati doesn't have a history of wanting to negotiate and move around in the draft. They're going to draft him and say, you're coming or not. But, this idea that you just dismiss hand size, or you dismiss judgment in college, you dismiss, the one word means nothing. It all is a story. It's a fabric, and you come out, and it matters. And the size 9 hands matters more for Joe Burrow than Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes throws a football better than any human on the planet. And hand size can be like Steph Curry. When you're the best in the world at something, shooting threes, it can overcome other issues. All right, tonight, reason I wrapped up my Narcos Mexico season 2, because tonight Zion plays LeBron. Very exciting. You know I love Zion. I think he's fantastic, and I think he's really, really important for the NBA. I'm a believer that if you're a great high school player, you should go to college for a year like a Duke or a Carolina or a Kansas or whoever. The only reason I know about Zion is college basketball. It's a great marketing platform, and he is an incredibly likable, dynamic, watchable kid. I just love his story. But there are people now that are talking about, hey, is Zion, in terms of marketing and stardom, the next LeBron? Folks, no, and it has nothing to do with just his game. We do this. We just don't appreciate the people we have. I've been doing this 30 years. There are 3 athletes that have simply been as big as the league they play in: Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, and LeBron James. And that is it. If Tom Brady retires tomorrow, I watch less New England Patriot football. I don't watch less football. Okay, Michael Jordan left. The NBA lost 50% of its ratings, meaning he had equal value to the league. Tiger Woods out of contention. Even the Masters plummeted. 50% loss in ratings, meaning Tiger was at least half as big as the rest of the sport. If James Harden retired tomorrow, or Giannis, or Kemba Walker, or Russell Westbrook, league would be fine. If LeBron retired tomorrow, revenues would sink. The salary cap would go down. Everybody is freaking out. Even owners in the NBA are kind of freaking out about the last 2 years in the NBA, how the ratings have gone down. And, obviously the players are great guys. There's very few. I can't think of anybody off the top that's not a good kid. Kyrie's a little flaky for my taste, but I don't think he's a bad kid. The league has great marketing. I've never seen more good players. Every time I go to an NBA game, I'm struck by how much the fans like the kids. It's just, it doesn't matter if it's Dame, it's Giannis. They're just likable players. Do you know what the problem is the last 2 years? LeBron left the Eastern Conference, and the ratings capsized. You're out thinking the room. LeBron left the East, went to the West, and the Eastern Conference early NBA window stinks. So as much as we like Zion, we tend to do this in sports, and I don't know if they do this in politics or Hollywood. I think we do it in politics, where when you have a good president, nobody appreciates it. We are so lucky. I feel so lucky that I got to watch Michael Jordan when I'm in my 20s, and I'm starting as a sportscaster, and Michael Jordan owned the world. And then here I get in my 30s and early 40s, and Tiger Woods owned the world, and now LeBron. But it's interesting with Tiger and LeBron, and maybe it's social media, maybe it's the snarkiness that's devoured all of the country. The division we've had in the last 15, 20 years, I do think social media is a part of it. I never thought we appreciated Tiger in the moment. Half the people liked him and half didn't. And I was always like, listen, Tiger Woods changed my television habits. It'd be like 4 o'clock on a Sunday. I was like, oh, Tiger. Like 2 shows in my life have done that, maybe 3. The NFL, The Sopranos, and Tiger Woods. Oh, it's 4 o'clock on a Sunday. I got to get to a television. So as much as I like Zion, do you get MJ, Tiger, LeBron? They're half as big as the league. And you're lucky LeBron always talks about our game. Many of you think LeBron is selfish. I thought last year he was distracted. Distracted isn't selfish. Okay, LeBron, the league needs him, and he knows it. That's why whenever LeBron talks, you ever notice what he talks about? He talks about, quote, our game. He's the ambassador and the face. He is the foundation of this house. Zion is just a really cool sports car Dad bought this weekend and parked in the garage. Can't wait to drive it. Oh, it's fun. Goes around the curves real great. But there's a difference between a cool sports car and the foundation and the mortgage and the title of the house, and that is LeBron. Can't wait to watch him tonight. Zion is, I got to tell you, there are not many players at 19 years old. I like Luka and Dallas. Like him. Zion gets me to a TV. Luka doesn't get me to a TV. Not much. Zion gets me to a TV. Not LeBron level, but he does. All right, coming up next, Dak and the Cowboys have not talked since September. They got everybody else signed. I'm surprised they haven't signed their long snapper and their punter to a deal. My thoughts on that Dak situation coming up next. We also go to the NFL Combine today. Rick Bucher stops by. We got about 25 games. By the way, Joy's Heat and my Utah Jazz are capsizing. They're just not. Something's gone wrong. Something has gone.
Yeah, you can't lose the Cavs. Can't make it to overtime with the Cavs. Unacceptable.
Unacceptable. Over 50 years ago, 2 men with a passion for motorsports and engineering. Yep, they began building race engines in an old abandoned mill. They looked at every wide open road and saw an opportunity. Wanted to break the rules, push the envelope. A chance to prove that a 2-ton family sedan could compete in 24-hour track races. Okay, this engineering company continued to validate their beliefs by putting those race car engines in luxury sedans and proceeded to shock the elite in the racing world. In the motorsports world, they kept winning and winning and winning. Nobody will ever understand what drives Mercedes AMG. Who knows? To break every record in the book. Here's to allowing us to enjoy the results. Learn more at mbusa.com/AMG. Mercedes AMG. Driving performance.